and I want to see how large a moose's bat straps really are. Like, that is, yeah, that's it. That's the only reason I want a moose.
Which you answered.
Bull, cow, don't matter.
You answered my next question, which was what was going to be your favorite cut on the deer or favorite, game to eat.
Oh man, so when I lived in Kansas for a while, and I was hunting out there, and I shot this little doe, and we were cutting it up in the field, and I took the loins out, right? And this dude looks at me, and he's like, "What are you doing with that?" I'm like, "This is the best cut of meat on a deer, the loins." He's like, "No, man, that's coyote food. Like, we keep that in the deer." It's like, "Are you kidding me?" So we went back to the camp, and I grilled it up, and we ate it, man. He's like, "Man, this is amazing." I'm like, "Yeah." So I think on a whitetail, it's the loins, but the bat straps are pretty close second, man.
So you're going to go tenderloins, which is not many people know if you look at the deer. And I'm going to actually go T-bone steak, porterhouse steak. And you got the T and you got the bone. You got the small cut and you got the large cut. The large cut is the back strap. That's the New York strip. That's the short loin. And the other cut is the psoas major. And that's the tenderloin or the filet mignon, chateaubriand. It is the most tender cut of meat. But what I've learned is when you're gutting a deer, you got to make sure you protect them. Sometimes you have to skin them a little bit because you get a little bit of
absolutely.
Guts. Wash them off, pat them down, and you get them wet. You got to make sure you're dry when you put them in the freezer. It's not a lot of meat, but I agree. Tenderloin's such an underrated cut because some people discard it because it gets dirty when they're gutting a deer.
Yeah.
They're field dressing the deer, and you're missing probably the best cut, technically, the fillet.
With mine, whenever I harvest a deer, I never put the tenderloins in the freezer. I'll eat them that day. And me and my middle daughter, I have to fight her for those. She will sit there and eat them all. And like you said, it's not the biggest cut of meat, but the tenderloins, fry them up with some eggs and have that as a meal. Oh man, that's amazing right there.
It's funny that you say that because that's how my uncle John does tenderloins. You do it for breakfast, but he's a backstrap person, and I want to tell you what my favorite cut. I love the backstraps. I love the tenderloin. I'm a huge fan of the sirloin roast. This time of the year, it's the football-shaped one.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about when you're doing
right there on the hind quarter. Yeah.
Slow roasted thing. You marinate it, you slow roast it, and then you give it a real good. You got to slap some ghee on or clarified butter on the thing, and then real hot. Get your grill like 800 degrees. If it's raining out, use the broiler, high heat. Get it as hot as possible, and get that thing like charred.
Yep.
Let it cool off. Put it in the fridge. Slice it real thin. Get 2 pieces of bread, Swiss cheese, a little horseradish, and then put some of that marinated in a little soy sauce. I use coconut aminos. Try to stay away from the gluten. And then, oh my gosh, it's like amazing. Slice it real thin, like almost like if you have a slicer, I would say use that. But I like to get the temperature 125 is when I take it out. I actually let it cool down for a half hour because it's going to go up to 130.
Okay.
That's when I get the sear in. That's when I start that grill and I get that char. So I'm not affecting the interior of the meat. I'm just getting that crunch.
Getting that crunch on it. Oh, for sure, man.
So
I'm going to have to try that recipe this year.
Oh, I make it every Halloween week. I just that's what I had for dinner tonight.
I saw you post it. Yeah, that looked amazing.
Yeah, no, it was to me it's if you do it right, you're going to like it. But the back straps, you do it with some mushrooms and some Maggi sauce or the coconut aminos.
Oh yeah.
That's why we deer hunt.
That's 100%, man. 100%.
All right, so before